All right, for more on China's second child policy, I'm joined by Dali Yang. He's a professor at the Department of Political Science at the University of Chicago. Professor, thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
So, how will the Chinese government's decision to end its one-child policy impact the economy in the short term? Do you see it having any immediate impact?
Well, certainly in terms of expectations, with the expectation that there would be more babies, it's going to be stimulative in terms of certainly the goods for the babies, for the pregnancies, and of course healthcare as well. Over the long haul, it may also have a marginal effect on demand for housing and of course other kind of consumer goods, including vehicles and so on. So overall, boosting the fertility rate is going to be very important, especially because China today has one of the lowest total fertility rates among the leading countries of the world.
Well, there seem to be big expectations for this. On the one hand, we have data from Alibaba, which shows that there has been a surge in searches and purchases for pregnancy-related products and books. In real terms, though, do you think businesses should start to get ready for some kind of baby boom?
I can assure you Chinese businesses are extremely alert to any opportunities. And of course, already for the last 2 years, they have been responding to a slight relaxation in the policy of birth planning. And this one is considered to be a more significant opportunity. And especially online, in terms of Tmall and other places, the baby products in particular are conducive to shipping and, of course, to online sales. So a lot of action is happening. But of course, we have to wait and see how, in fact, people are going to be, whether they are going to be producing the number of babies that are anticipated. And I think, again, because of the challenges, the cost of raising children, in fact, the number of babies that are being born in the coming year may not be as high as people anticipate.
And on that point, many demographers and economists say, well, that despite the relaxed rules, the cost and the difficulty of raising more than one child may deter couples from having 2 children. Do you think that this could all be overestimated, that families may actually still opt to keep one child?
Well, certainly for the last relaxation, the outcome was far less than anticipated. In this particular case, I think actually the governments and also the demographers would not want everyone who's eligible to immediately try for pregnancy and to produce a baby in the coming year, because that would actually produce this real shock to the system in many ways. They would prefer that people pace it out over the next few years, in fact. But I do think there will be a bump, especially because there are the people in their late 30s, early 40s, and so on. Women who are running out in terms of the biological clock who really wants to take advantage of this opportunity, especially because their firstborn may be actually getting much older and they would prefer to have the second child as soon as possible. But you're absolutely right, however, the cost of raising a child has been getting higher and higher, especially in urban areas. And this new rule really applies primarily to urban areas. And of course, with galloping housing prices, education costs, and so on, it does actually sort of deter people from having another child.
Well, do you think that if China really does want to increase the working population, and we have seen reluctance from the more educated women and perhaps even from the more financially well-off people to have more children, do you think that China does need to maybe do more than just relax the policy? Maybe at a future date, the government may need to add other incentives to encourage higher birth rates.
Well, I think definitely the desire among the people is to abolish the birth planning policy totally in the future. In fact, even for supporters of the policy, they tend to emphasize that this was a necessary evil needed for a temporary period in order to keep the Chinese population from exploding. Of course, the effects of it are heavily debated, and there are a lot of side effects from this particular policy. So I think actually even the leadership in China would not want to see the policy continue. But of course, this system of birth planning employs of about 1 million people, bureaucrats whose job has been to control the fertility behavior of the people. And of course, it's a major undertaking to disband it all. So for that reason alone, authorities want to phase in the policy. And I do think actually there is a lot of anticipation that, in fact, China's fertility rate will not actually bump up so rapidly. And therefore, over perhaps in 4 or 5 years, they can reconsider and decide actually it's simply easier to abolish the policy at some point.
Right.
First, yeah, so I think it's a gradual process.